This week we were asked to choose 5 strategies from the Dave Hopkins PowerPoint that we were given, and to go over the research that is supported with this strategy, and also if we would use this strategy in the classroom for a non-English speaker, limited English speaker, or fluent English speaker. The first strategy that I chose was vocabulary handoff. This is where students line up in front of the class, hold their vocabulary cue cards. The teacher models, the student teacher models, then the student teacher models, and finally the student to student. I would use this strategy in the classroom to share new vocabulary with limited and fluent level language learners, because the strategy allows students to practice oral language and social skills while meeting the content criteria. I would also use this strategy for non-English speakers, but I would want to coach them with the new words ahead of time. So this isn't the first time they're learning the vocabulary, but maybe the second or third times, to kind of ease that anxiety that they may have in front of their peers. This is research supported through Vygotsky, who would support this strategy because it allows students to interact and develop socially. The next strategy that I chose was partial dictations. And I chose this strategy, would use it to share with non and limited language level students because it will help students grasp conversations, help social development, and increase peer interactions. And this will help motivate students because they're just coming up with filling in the 1 or 2 words instead of having to come up and develop their whole sentence. Vygotsky would support this strategy because it allows students to interact and develop socially. Completions is the third strategy that I chose, and I would use this strategy to help limited and fluent language level learners organize nonfiction text. I chose that this would be supported by Maria Montessori, because it allows for students to look at information from multiple points of view and then give their own opinion based on the evidence. For example, they say, what does the expert say in the text? What do people think? So was there an interview in what you read? What do people think about this? What is one idea? It is common to, usually, and finally, in my opinion. So after they have gone over what everybody else's idea and what is common and what usually happens in, we'll say what usually happens in nature, finally they are saying, in my opinion, this is what I think based on the evidence that I have researched and through this article. So I think that is also a great strategy to use in the classroom. Fourth, I have elaborations. This is one student makes a statement. The partner has to add something to that. So they say, I'm going fishing. The next person says, I'm going fishing with my friends next weekend. I would use this strategy in my classroom to help students elaborate on their thoughts and opinions in writing journals and personal essays. This encourages students to add more details to their stories, work together, and become better writers. This would be a good strategy for all learners, non-limited and fluent, and even those native English speakers. And this is a constant struggle in a classroom. I'm always telling kids, please add more details, add more details. What color was your fishing pole? What were you fishing for? Where did you go? Were you at a lake? Were you at a river? Tell me your location. So this is a great strategy to use for all learners to make their writing more interesting and to get them used to just adding those details. This is supported by Vygotsky because it is helping students to grow more confident in oral language conversations and social development. The last one that I have is dialogue. Again, this goes kind of along with elaborations that I'm always trying to get students to add. Okay, now that you have the frame or the backbone of your story, please add dialogue. Make your story more interesting. So I would use this in the classroom, this strategy for non-limited and fluent learners to practice oral language and natural conversations. I often encourage students to add dialogue to their stories, personal essays, and story summaries to add detail and make their writing more interesting. And the reason why I have non-English learners in there, I would not just throw them in and say, okay, now you have to write this big long story and add dialogue. But dialogue is a great way to start so that they can get practice with those conversations. So obviously their project would look differently from the other students, but you're still working on the same skill. Vygotsky would support this strategy because it supports students' social development, which is so important for all students, not just ELL students, to learn their social cues and what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. And again, this is a great strategy for everyone in the classroom to be able to add more detail to those stories and essays that we're always trying to get the kiddos right. Thank you for listening.